is a Friday tradition here at the University of Virginia, certainly in football season. Our first Orange and Blue report presented by the UVA Health System. I'm joined by the ball hawk, Ahmad Hawkins. I'm Dave Koehn, and we're breaking down the Virginia-Richmond game. Season opener coming up in under 24 hours. Let's dig in, man. I mean, you're talking about a matchup, 34th meeting between these two teams in the same state, and Virginia's got a little something extra to play for, don't they?
Yeah, got a little revenge. Broncos' first ever game here at the University of Virginia was an upset loss to Richmond, and the fan base want to remind him that you got to win this game.
Absolutely, and they don't need any reminding, I can assure you that much. Now, for Virginia, it's an opportunity to show just how far they've come from that game 2 years ago, Broncos' first game, to where they are here going into year 3 under Bronco Mendenhall. But not the only thing that's changed. Interesting in this game, quarterbacks. You've got 2 new quarterbacks for both sides, replacing stalwarts who were playing this summer. Over the course of the summer, they were in summer camps in the NFL. So now, where do you go? 2 mobile quarterbacks, but 2 somewhat unknowns.
Yeah, 2 somewhat unknowns. The great advantage that Richmond has is that their current starter was a backup that actually played some valuable minutes, played in the playoff game. Whether Bryce Perkins, he comes here to UVA in the new system, so they kind of have a slight advantage with their new quarterback.
All right, well, let's dive into looking a little bit more about this Richmond team, and we will start with the Spiders' defense, because it is a defense that is strong up front, a lot of returning starters in that defensive line and in the linebacking core. In the secondary, maybe not so much. So let's take a look at the film.
So this is Richmond's base 4-2-5 defense. They actually implement a nickel back, and they take out a linebacker right here. You see in the cover 4 with their secondary being so young. Cover 4 allows these guys to pass receivers off. What I mean by that is they take ownership of a certain quarter, and as you can see with the receivers, they let you disperse. They pick up on you. The backer is unfree. He picks up the short guy, so you can naturally bracket a deep receiver. So it allows these young guys to integrate into the defense and not make so many mistakes.
You might have noticed their big number 97 coming in there. That would be Clyde, Andrew Clyde, leading sack man in the Colonial Athletic Association a year ago. They get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, set a school record, as a matter of fact, a season ago for sacks per game.
They do a great job of just switching responsibilities, trying to confuse the offensive line and not understanding who they can block. The linebackers don't really blitz, but they do a great job of just running games and using different lanes and various exotic, like twists and stunts to get to the quarterback.
So that will be a significant test for what is a youthful Virginia offensive line. Now let's switch to the other side of the ball. In this particular matchup, you're looking at strength on strength in a lot of ways when you look at that defensive secondary for Virginia going against what you could make the case is the best receiving core, at least in the FCS nationwide. They have 3 all-conference picks back at receiver this season to go against Virginia. That's going to be some kind of test for the Hoos, isn't it, coming up on Saturday night?
It definitely is. The Hoos, everybody talks about the secondary being not only one of the best in the ACC, one of the best in the country. Richmond returns 3 receivers that had at least 800 yards receiving. That's a lot. So for this first game, the test is there. Bryce Hall made a bold statement saying those guys were the best. So to be the best, you got to beat the best, and you got to show and prove this Saturday.
They started calling themselves DBU.
DBU.
Well, we'll see if they can live up to that billing. Elsewhere on that defense for Virginia, one of the areas that maybe not quite the level of depth, and that's an understatement, is along that defensive line. In that case, you've got a relatively inexperienced bunch for Virginia going against a relatively inexperienced bunch for Richmond, who has just 1 starter back on the front 5.
And that's a great point, Dave. That what you need to do when you have inexperience on the defensive line, you got to get your linebackers involved. Chris Peace is a guy that's returning that led the ACC in sacks as a linebacker, so I could see him being implemented as far as rushing the quarterbacks. Snowden's another guy who can rush the passer. So with our secondary being our strength, we'll call on those guys to cover and be on the island more to allow us to send 4 and 5 guys and take advantage of that offensive line.
All right, biggest component you'll be watching for tomorrow night when Virginia meets Richmond?
The biggest component that I'll be watching, I will just really be focused on how Malcolm Cook does playing in the inside, slowing the game down. He's a guy that's a speed guy. Will they try to make him overflow to the ball, and how will he pair up with Mac? Because that's very vital, because with those 2 type of linebackers, we can cover now or those middle dead zone areas that last year, or the last time we played Richmond, their tight ends did a great job of exploiting us.
Yep, trying to help fill the sizable void left by one Micah Kaiser, no longer in the middle at linebacker. He's just one of a couple guys Virginia will be trying to replace in this game coming up again tomorrow night. It is a 6 o'clock kickoff. We will hit the airwaves at 5 o'clock on the Virginia Sports Radio Network. We hope to see you then. In the meantime, enjoy Paint the Town Orange, and we will see you tomorrow at Scott Stadium.